Yo, what's going on, guys? We're here going to do our NBA Finals preview and predictions for the San Antonio Spurs versus the New York Knicks. Re-recording this because I was sounding tired. Now, I want to hear you guys' thoughts, how many games and why, and who's going to be an X factor in this matchup. So, let's get right into it. Let me hear those opinions. If you just want to hear my predictions, get down below in the comment section. We're on the way to 20,000. I can't get there without your guys' help, so hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. The 2026 NBA Finals matchup brings together the New York Knicks and the rising San Antonio Spurs. For the Knicks, it marks the franchise's first trip to the NBA Finals since 1999 and a chance to win its first championship since 1973. The Knicks enter after a dominant Eastern Conference run, while San Antonio arrives with a better regular season resume and the matchup advantage around Victor Wembanyama and company. This is one of the most interesting teams in the playoffs because of the run that they've gone on. The Spurs over the Knicks is what some people think, or the Knicks over the Spurs is what others thinks, and that's what I want to hear down below. San Antonio is going to be interesting, as some think they could be the favorites, as they have the best two-way ceiling. The Spurs went 62-20 with a plus 8.3 net rating, ranking third in points per game at almost 120 per night. Fourth in offensive rating at 119.6, third in defensive rating at 111. The Knicks are elite too, finishing 53-29 with a 6.5 net rating. The NBA's third best offense at 119.8 and the seventh best defense at 113.3. The Knicks have played like a machine in the playoffs, been unstoppable. The Knicks went 12-2 after beating Atlanta in 6, sweeping Philadelphia, and sweeping Cleveland. They're well rested. And when you get into the playoffs, fatigue is the biggest thing. You always want to physically impose your opponent. And if you're well rested, it'll take a lot longer to impose that physical will against a well-rested opposition. The Knicks are averaging almost 120 points on 51.5% shooting from the field, 40% from three, while holding opponents to 100.6 points, 43.7% shooting, and 30.5% from three. They have played this playoffs at a championship level dominance. Credit to Jalen, Brunson, and company. But San Antonio brings a different challenge. The Spurs have averaged 115 points, 47 rebounds a night. That's some of the best, if not the best, in the playoffs. Almost 9 steals, 7 blocks in the playoffs, while holding opponents to 41.3% shooting and 32.9% from three. They have the length, the defense, the rebounding, which is kind of like the formula to stop and slow New York's half-court offense. So let's break down why the Spurs can win. Victor Wembanyama is the biggest matchup problem in the series. He averaged 25 points, 11.5 rebounds, and 3 blocks in the regular season. Followed that up with 23 points, 11 rebounds, 3.5 blocks in the playoffs. His defense, his length, his ability to cover ground changes how Jalen Brunson is going to be driving angle-wise and forces Cat into tougher decisions. San Antonio also has a three-headed monster that is enough guard creation to make anybody's head spin. Steph Castle has elevated into the playoffs as a true Robin to the Batman of Wembanyama. 19.7 assists and 5 rebounds on almost 61% true shooting. De'Aaron Fox continues to be the Sly Cooper of it all, adding 16.5 points, 6 assists, while Dylan Harper, the future stud, who might surpass Steph Castle as the second best player or end up being the Mount Ginobili of this team, is another efficient creator who gets downhill, averaging 13 points on 52.5% shooting, 62.7% true shooting. The depth, Julian Champagnie has been hitting those threes at a 39% this playoff. Devin Vassell gives him volume shooting and some defense. Calvin Johnson being the 6th man of the year. Luke Cornett gives them another front court piece. All different little pieces of the pie. Why the Knicks can win? The Knicks still have the best offensive kind of like equation, in the sense that Jalen Brunson is the most clutch player in basketball. He's averaging 27.6 assists in the playoffs, and he gives New York a clutch advantage if the series turns into a fourth quarter half-court execution, basically shootout. Cat has also become this extremely efficient 17 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 71% true shooting in the playoffs. If Towns pulls Wembanyama away from the rim, hits the threes at his 49% playoff clip, and then just goes into the big bodega and physically imposes himself, New York can bend San Antonio's defense. OG Anunoby has been New York's biggest swing piece, the championship pedigree he brings. He's also averaged 20 points, 7 rebounds, 1.6 steals, a block a night on 57.7% from the field, 48% from three. That's 72.4% true shooting. If he keeps scoring like a star while defending San Antonio's wings and the point of attack, the Knicks can capture their first NBA title in more than 5 decades. OG Anunoby, way he's playing in the playoffs, gives him another score next to Brunson and Cat. He could swing multiple games. For San Antonio, they need Castle to continue to emerge as the secondary creator and play at a level that they haven't seen since, that we have seen since the start of the playoffs. That needs to continue along with Fox and the rest of the company. So that's where I think it's all very interesting when you look at this team and how everything's panned out. So the quick 10-man rotation: Jalen, Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Cat. Then you got Deuce McBride, Mitch Robb, Landry Shamet, Jordan Clarkson, Jose Alvarado. Brunson controls the offense, Towns spaces the floor, and Anunoby, Bridges is the point of attack. Defense, Hart does the everything with his Army knife. As I mentioned, the bench gives Mike Brown enough depth to maintain the defensive intensity while adding some secondary shot creation and shooting with Shamet and Clarkson. And so McBride, then the defense with all those guys. Shamet and Clarkson aren't defenders, but Alvarado, Deuce, and Robinson. While San Antonio has De'Aaron Fox, Steph Castle, Devin Vassell, Julian Champagnie, Victor Wembanyama. Then they got Dylan Harper, Keldon Johnson, Luke Cornett, Carter Bryant sometimes playing small ball 5, Harrison Barnes. San Antonio has the depth that is allowing them to separate themselves from contenders, and Fox and Castle pressures defenses off the dribble. Vassell and Champagnie stretch the floor, and Wembanyama anchors everything. Harper gives them a downhill creator capable of attacking second units, while Keldon Johnson supplies instant offense defense. Cornett provides reliable front court minutes, so does Carter Bryant. And we're going to have to see Jalen Brunson versus De'Aaron Fox and Steph Castle and Dylan Harper, Cat versus Wemby, OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges versus San Antonio Wings. They have to limit Vassell, Champagnie, and company. I think the final prediction is that New York enters with the hottest playoff resume. They've gone 12-2. Brunson's playing at an all-NBA level, and Anunoby elevated his game like they needed him to. Cat gives the Knicks a unique offensive weapon. However, San Antonio has the better offense, deeper rotation, superior profile, and the ultimate trump card in Victor Wembanyama. The Knicks will win games behind Brunson's shot-making, clutch ability, and their elite wing defense, but over a long series, San Antonio's size, versatility, depth, and Victor Wembanyama's dominance should prove too much to overcome. Spurs defeat Knicks in 7 games to win the 2026 NBA championship. Let me hear your thoughts down below. Bye.
Just some thoughts I wanted to add on at the very end. I'm right now walking in my car here in Rome. I just was in Positano. Now I'm driving up to Florence, but I don't know if I made this very clear, but I do think it's rather interesting that this is going to be a great one. Spurs versus Knicks, and it's the start of the history, the legacy, the legend of Victor Wembanyama. And I think that's going to be something that will be really cool at the end of the day. Even if he were to lose, it'll be like when LeBron lost his first finals in 2007. I think that's going to be one of the more interesting or not his first finals, but well, yeah, it was his first finals. He got swept by the Spurs in 2007. So I feel like even if that were to happen, it's still going to be a great history. But I literally just texting in my Hoops Hype group chat, and I was like, did the Spurs just close the door on the Thunder dynasty? Like, the Spurs are better. Dylan Harper, Steph Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Victor Wembanyama. And we aren't even getting into Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. the rest of the crew, and they're young. Like, I talk about this all the time, and you need to win a championship when a player is still on the rookie deal. What they do in the NFL all the time. You got to win a championship when your quarterback is still on the rookie deal, because when you have to pay the quarterback, you can't pay the rest of the team. And we call this the Russell Wilson conundrum. Seahawks were a dynasty contenders until Russell Wilson got paid. No offense to Russell Wilson, let Russ cook, whatever you want to say, but they weren't as good when they had to pay Russ because they couldn't pay the rest of the guys. They let the defense slip, and the rest of the team fell off, and they stopped being a run-first team. Spurs were able to take advantage. Victor Wembanyama, year 3. They have Devin Vassell on a long-term deal. They have De'Aaron Fox on a long-term deal. They have several guys on larger contracts than normal. I mean, Kelly Olynyk's making $13 million a year to ride the bench. So it gives you an idea of where they're at. And I think, man, whoever wins this, and I think the Knicks have done a great job of building a worthy contender. But, man, that's why I think it's a 7-game series. So let me hear you guys' thoughts. I think they've done a great job, and it's been fun, yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.